Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a fantasy film called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. At the beginning of the movie, we see a teenager named Jake Portman working in a grocery store. Jake gets a call from his dad, asking him to be at his grandfather Abe's home. Abe is a patient with dementia and needs to be taken care of at all times. His coworker offers to give him a ride. When he reaches home, he sees his grandfather missing. Jake and his coworker go around looking for him. After a while, he finds Abe on the ground with both his eyeballs missing. Before Jake can react, Abe grabs his hand, asking him to go back to September 3rd, 1943, using a postcard to meet a bird. Suddenly, Abe stops talking and takes his last breath. Jake freezes in shock. Just then, he notices a massive monster in the dark. The monster goes away when his colleague accidentally shoots in his direction. Although Jake believes that Abe's final words were just gibberish, the monster he saw that day had a huge impact on his mental health. It is now a month after Abe's death. Jake has started going to therapy. He tells his therapist about stories Abe used to tell him when he was a child. Abe always talked about a home for special children, somewhere in Cairnholm, an island off the coast of Wales. The home was run by a strict but caring lady named Peregrine, who could turn into a bird. There lived children with unique qualities, the ones who didn't fit in the normal society, like Bronwyn and Victor, who had superhuman strength, Hugh, who had bees living inside him, and Emma, who could float. Abe even had pictures of the children he talked about. Jake believed his stories for years, until he talked about them in a middle school class presentation. His classmates made fun of him for believing such absurd ideas. So Jake angrily accused Abe of lying, and from that day onwards, Abe never mentioned the children's home. The therapist thinks that Jake is having a hard time separating Abe's fantasies from reality. That is why he hallucinated the monster that day. Later, when Jake returns home, his aunt gives him a book she had found in Abe's belongings. Inside the book is a postcard that has Miss Peregrine's name and the children's home address written on it. Jake shows it to his therapist in the following session. She suggests he visit the place so he and Abe can have a proper closure. The very next day, Jake and his father leave for Wales. The two finally reach the town and check into an old hotel. Jake goes to the children's home to find it fully destroyed. When he returns, a man tells him that in 1943, a Nazi missile landed on the children's home and destroyed it, killing everyone inside. The following day, Jake goes back to the home and looks around when suddenly, a girl appears in front of him. Startled, he starts to run, falls down, and is knocked unconscious. When he regains consciousness, he is being carried by Bronwyn, the girl from his grandfather's story who has superhuman strength. He sees other characters from the story in front of him. Jake is shocked, but delighted to see that the stories are true. Emma, the girl who can float, tells Jake that they are sent by Miss Peregrine to bring him into the loop. They take him inside a cave, but Jake gets nervous and runs back to his hotel. There, he comes across unfamiliar faces who ask him who he is. It turns out that after entering the cave, he traveled back in time to September 3rd, 1943. The people in the hotel think that he is a spy and are about to kill him when the children from earlier save him. They take him to the children's home, where he finally meets Miss Peregrine. Inside, a girl named Olive is boiling tea with her hands, showing that she can create fire with them. Miss Peregrine reveals to him that the children's home was established to accommodate people born with unique qualities, called the peculiars. Such unique qualities are acquired as recessive genes and can show itself in any generation. Children's homes like this are spread throughout the world to protect the peculiars from normal people. Every children's home is run by a breed of peculiar called the Imbrines. Imbrines can freeze time and repeat it, and also shapeshift into birds. Hence, Miss Peregrine, being an Imbrine, resets the time every day. The people of the children's home have been reliving September 3rd, 1943 for as long as they can remember. Abe used to live in the children's home when he was little, and the children Jake met earlier were his grandfather's friends. Since they live in a loop, they haven't aged. Jake is shocked at the revelation. He asks Miss Peregrine what Abe's power was, but she dismisses him. While roaming around the house, Jake meets a peculiar named Enoch, whose ability is that he can make the dead people and inanimate objects come to life as his puppet. At supper, it is revealed that Abe left the children's home to join the army. He also finds out that Emma used to be in love with Abe when he was around. After that, everyone sits down to watch a movie. A peculiar named Horace can project his dreams onto the wall and can also dream of the future. They watch Horace's dream like a movie. After the movie, everyone goes outside to watch Peregrine reset time. Jake watches in awe as she stops the missile from being dropped in the house and resets the time to September 3rd again. Jake then finds a letter written to Miss Peregrine by his grandfather and keeps it with him. Emma takes Jake to the cave to get him out of the loop. As they walk, an injured Imbrine bird lands in front of them. Emma takes the bird and goes back to the house as Jake comes out of the loop. When he's back in the hotel, Jake reads the letter he had stolen. In the letter, Abe warns Peregrine of someone named Baron, who has been trying to harm peculiars of another loop. The following day, Jake's dad takes him to a beach to watch birds. There, they meet an ornithologist named John. Jake's dad, who watches birds as a hobby, is annoyed by John, so they return to the hotel. Jake waits for his father to fall asleep and goes back into the loop. He asks Miss Peregrine about Baron, but Miss Peregrine is mad at him for being intrusive and doesn't answer his question. Enoch takes him to a peculiar named Victor, but Jake is shocked to see Victor's dead body lying on a bed. Then, Enoch places a heart into his body and makes him his puppet, demonstrating his power. When they later go on a walk, he asks Emma about Baron. To answer his question, Emma takes him under the sea and into the remains of a sunken ship. She uses her power to manipulate air and makes the chamber water-free. She then hands him a box and claims that it belonged to Abe. Inside is a map of every loop of the world and pictures of some peculiars. One of them is Baron, the leader of a group of bad peculiars called the Hollows. She tells him that Abe left the children's home to hunt them, but couldn't. Hollows look for the peculiar kids and kill them. Only Peregrine knows what their real motive is. Emma then takes Jake to watch Peregrine killing a monster similar to the one Jake saw when Abe died. Emma says that no one other than Abe and Jake can see the monster. Even Peregrine is using her time manipulation skills to kill it. It turns out that Jake is also a peculiar, just like his grandfather, and both of their skills are that they can see invisible monsters. When they are back at the children's home, Peregrine tells Jake about Hollows and their origin. Hollows were regular peculiars who were tired of living in loops. They believed that harnessing the essence of Imbrine's powers would make them immortal, and they could live outside the loop without aging. So, they abducted an Imbrine and conducted an experiment. However, the experiment failed, turning the Hollows into invisible monsters. To go back to their human form, they had to feed on Peculiar's eyes. Hollows started abducting Peculiar children for their eyes. Baron and some of his friends regained their human forms, but their eyes remained milky white. Some monsters are still looking for children's eyes to feed on. As she finishes telling the story, Miss Avocet regains consciousness. She is the Imbrine that Emma had found in the cave earlier. Miss Avocet tells them that the children's home she was a caretaker of has been completely destroyed by the monsters who killed all her children for their eyes. Baron is planning to conduct the experiment again, this time by using more Imbrines. His next target is Peregrine's children's home. Hearing this, Miss Peregrine quickly asks the kids to pack their bags. She wants to change the loop so they can be safer. Emma asks Jake to come with them to the other loop. However, Jake denies it and goes back to the island, exiting the loop. When he reaches the beach, he sees a crowd gathering around a dead body. His dad and the ornithologist, John, are there too. Jake notices the dead body's eyes have been taken. He realizes that the Hollows are already here and runs towards the cave to warn Miss Peregrine. John offers Jake's dad to bring him back and follows him. He enters the cave behind Jake. It is revealed that John is actually Baron, who has been using his shape-shifting abilities to disguise himself. He reveals that he also disguised himself as Jake's therapist to get Jake to the island and find the location of the loop through him. He then threatens Jake to take him to the children's home. Miss Peregrine is shocked to see Baron at her door. With no way out, she offers to go with Baron if he leaves the children out of this. After the two leave, Miss Avocet and Jake close all the doors and windows to the house and gather weapons. Since Baron knows where they are, he can send his monster friends to hunt the children for their eyes. Suddenly, an invisible monster attacks Miss Avocet when Jake is not around. It kills the poor lady, but is injured by Jake right after. Everyone then runs to the attic and escapes through a tree branch. Since Peregrine is not here to restart the loop, The day changes to September 4th, and the Nazi missile drops on the house. Thankfully, everyone is safe. Once they are out of the loop, they plan to go to the Black Loop, where Baron is conducting the experiment using Miss Peregrine and the other Imbrines. They get on a ship and continue the journey using Abe's map. They finally get to a carnival. Jake and Emma enter the Black Loop, which takes them back to 2016. They see Baron, his friends, and some monsters inside. Jake uses Emma to provoke Baron, making him send the monsters and 2 of his men outside to kill the children. But the children have already planned a way to defeat them. They throw snow at those men, revealing the shape of the monsters. Meanwhile, Enoch makes a bunch of skeletons his puppets and sends them to fight the monsters. Then, the children make their way to Baron and his friends. They fight them using their unique powers and manage to defeat everyone except for Baron. Jake releases the Imbrines from the cages, including Miss Peregrine, but they cannot help him since they are injured. Now, Baron and Jake stand face to face when suddenly, Baron shapeshifts into Jake. Emma and Enoch come inside and are confused about which is the real Jake. They point a crossbow at them, as both try to prove they are the real Jake. Just then, a monster enters the room. The monster mistakes Baron for Jake and attacks him, sucking his eyes and killing him. Finally, Jake kills the monster, and everyone is safe. Before the time loop closes, Jake says goodbye to the children as they exit and return to their ship in 1943, while he stays in 2016. Jake travels to his home in Florida to see Abe is still alive. It turns out Baron's death at the beginning of 2016 erased his presence in Florida later on. Jake is delighted and tells Abe everything that has happened. Abe asks Jake to go back to Emma as she is waiting for him. Jake takes his advice and travels the world, going into many loops to look for Emma and the others. He finally finds them on the ship, still traveling. Jake tells Emma that he loves her, and the 2 finally kiss. The movie ends as Miss Peregrine flies above the ship, overlooking the kids. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.